Welcome to the Omi Show. We are back. I'm Omi Bell, your host, and I'm here with Jonathan King.
Yes.
The king of all kings. What's
Oh,
up,
me. What's going on?
Jonathan King, let me tell you a little something about him. Is an entrepreneur. He is the creator of, the CEO of Black Alumni Ball. And Black Alumni Ball is special because it is about Black alumni in general. It's not that you have to come from a certain college. There's something about having a college experience and graduating and pulling that all together. And that could be colleges across the gamut of colleges, right? Is that right, John?
Absolutely. Not just a physical university or college, but community college, Black platforms that have alumni. It's across the gamut of alumni. Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about you. Like, take us back. So you could be doing anything in the world. I mean, you do real estate development, and different projects and architecture and that kind of thing alongside what you do at Black Alumni Ball.
Absolutely.
But you could be doing anything in the world. You could be selling the 7 C's. You could be creating your own type of soda. I don't know. You could be a fitness influencer. Why decide to launch Black Alumni Ball?
So Black Alumni Ball, I mean, I'll be honest with you, right? The event space was something that it felt so natural to me to be in, right? Like bringing people together has always been a gift that I've had, like since high school, right? This all started, I was 16 years old when I first created my first entertainment brand, right? But after a while, once you start that early, you realize that if you can bring people together at the party, you can bring people together for a bigger purpose. And that's always been like since even in college, when I graduated from high school and I navigated to college, I was always the person that was doing events with. You had to dress up. You had to put on a certain type of attire. You had to put on not a suit, but you had to put on a collar shirt. That's always been the identity, of why and what I was doing. And the why behind it was just pushing that conversation forward to say, we don't always have to dress like this. We don't always have to do these type of things. We can do different things. We can be in different arenas. And like just being like young and Black doesn't mean that we have to do the normal things. We can dress up early. So when the Black Alumni Ball came about, like in DC, well, me and my partners, Jared Walker, Carson Bird, 2015, it was just a way to bring all of us together. Like you had these PWI graduates, you had these HBCU graduates. And then in DC at that time, if you remember at that time, it was just so many walls that were up in our community. Oh, I went to this school. Oh, I went to this school. This school is better. It was all these walls. And initially it was just really to bring those walls down, to realize that after school, all of us are Black and all of us are alumni. And how can we just get together and just have these conversations and network and be my business partner and challenge you and basically build community. But all of this started just being in events and seeing that you had a gab, you have the gift of gab to bring people together, but can you bring people together with a purpose? And I think that's what kind of navigated from throwing parties and being a promoter in high school to college to now doing this with a purpose, right? Something that can last way beyond me. And that's why I do it, right? I wanted to build something that can last way beyond my existence, way beyond just me as an individual. So that's the gist of it. It started way back in the day, maybe 20 years ago now. I've been in the event space.
You know what? One of the things I think is really interesting about what you're saying is there's one thing to throw a party, right? And there's one thing to kind of create events. But I think what you're doing is you're sort of creating an immortal version of that where like you're going to always remember it too. So like where to live on after you, like as a thing that maybe some your kids or your co-founders, they take on as an active experience. I think that's one part. But that intrinsic value that you get that lives in people's memories is one thing. And I think another thing, just, on a simple aesthetic thing, we don't get to really dress up and go places after you graduate from high school. So like if you went to prom or if you didn't make it to prom or that kind of thing, you don't get to really dress up and be together to do anything formal unless you're leading a certain kind of life that requires award ceremonies.
Correct.
Other than that, you really don't get to kind of flex your muscle on how you want to look great.
Fly. And it's fun. And because as when you become an adult, you get the formal stuff. You may get the weddings, you may get certain things, but this is like networking. This is like wedding times 10. This is like dancing. These are people in gowns and tuxes, right? Lawyers, doctors, engineers, business owners that are dancing, that are having a ball. So it's also a safe space. To be honest with you, it's really that space for people to be like, I know I can go there. I know I can meet beautiful men and women that look like me. I know I can network, but I know I can have a good time. I know I'm going to leave there with that memory, like you said, because I get that all the time. But I'm going to leave there, not only I had a good time, but I left with a number, a connection. And I think that's just the value. And as we get older, we have to find those spaces. It's like, if I'm going to spend my money when I leave my home, I'll make sure I get a value out of it. And I'm just not spending money. And I think that's what we bring to the table. And it doesn't happen a lot, right? You're talking about 3 to 4 times a year we're doing this experience. So it gives that build up. It gives that excitement. Like, oh, it's coming here. Oh, it's coming to this city. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to create. But on top of that, the unique thing is we get to go in different markets and we get to bring people to different markets that never been to these markets. So like we're going to Houston, right? Imagine somebody had never been to Houston. They never explored the food in Houston. They never went to a hotel in Houston. They don't know nothing about Houston. But we get to bring them to this city and show them this experience, right? But also show them the city, right? So it's a dual aspect of allowing people to learn more about different experiences, different cities. But also the core of it is like connecting Black people together in all of these different areas. Right, the core of it. We gotta be more connected, especially what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. If you're just joining us, I'm talking to Jonathan King. He is the CEO of Black Alumni Ball, and we're talking about just what it means to bring people together under experiences. Yeah. Let's talk about, because there's a lot of people out there listening who are business owners or aspiring business owners. Let's talk a little bit about how do you make an entertainment brand work? Right, because I think it's one thing to like have the like aspirational or the feeling of like loving to bring people together, but like what are some of the nuts and bolts? Like what does it take to make an experience produce the level of results that you've been able to produce, and then let alone like have it travel across the country? So I guess it's kind of twofold.
Yeah.
What is a great entertainment brand as a business? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. And then like how do you know when to travel with it?
Yeah. What makes a great entertainment brand? The experience, the details, the love for actually bringing people together, right? Like wanting to see people connected in a meaningful way. That has to be the core. I also think making sure that you are, again, going back to the details, making sure that you are really specific on what does experience feel like? What does experience look like? I also think a part of that is always being able to challenge yourself to elevate to another and a higher and a better experience. Constantly, right? Constantly. You can't never be, I got it, I did it, and I'm going to continue to do it like that. It doesn't work like that. It's always like when we first started Black Alumni Ball, we brought people together. We told people to wear suits and ties. We made sure that we enforced the dress code. That's another thing, right? So sticking to the guns of the details is how we were able to really create, this brand and it be a consistent brand. And people look at it as something that we have to go to, we have to experience. What else I would say? Finding community, even within me, finding community to people that find value in what you do. Because you can be around people that looks at what you do as regular, and you don't really understand that. Well, what you're doing is a need, right? Shelly, me and you have strong relationship, and you have showed me that, right? In our relationship, that's like, oh, you can do it this way, you can do it this way. So I think a part of that is also just being around the right people. You can have a business, you can have whatever you want to have, but if you're not around the right people that is nourishing that idea that you have, then eventually it's just going to feel like work, right? It's just going to feel like, oh, yeah, I do this again.
I want to stay on that point
Yeah.
because I feel like people say that all the time. Right people, right people. When do you know if they're not right? And what like, and I'm wondering like, is there a sort of gauge that you've used over time, or sort of litmus test? You're sort of like top three things, or something like that that people have to pass it. Because I think when we meet people, essentially we do think they're right.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That's a great question. Because that's one of the biggest things I probably can provide insight on, because I fell into bad situations with partners. I fell into situations where I felt like I owed people, or they were around at the initial concept, but they're not doing nothing now. One thing I would say is be transparent upfront. That's one thing that can help. I wasn't really transparent. It was just a feel good thing. It was like, oh, cool, everything's working, it's flowing, but it wasn't nothing like, you are responsible for this. You are responsible for this. Like, it wasn't detailed enough for people to understand that if you don't do this, then we really don't have a partnership, right? We have one person that's doing majority of the work. And the idea of it is, it sounds good because those people are still going to get paid. So it's all on the person that's leading, which in this case been me, to say, okay, this is not going to work like this. I'm taking on too much work. I'm doing too many things. This is what I need you to do, and if you can't do that, then we're going to have to figure out how to part ways. So over my time, I would say I have learned how to be direct. Trying to figure out who works and who don't work is more about the upfront questions. Are you passionate about this? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Where do you see this brand in 5 to 10 years? A lot of these questions, you jump into business with people. You don't really ask them that, because
right.
Some people may have an aspiration of going back to school. One of my partners did that. He went back to UVA and got his degree. Right? He didn't have necessarily a passion to grow this thing like I did. So, but if I asked him that question in 2015, maybe I would have known that. So, I think asking the right questions. I think just being fair. Just being fair to know that you don't know everything. I don't know everything, but ask the question. So figure out where I can find the answers to this question too. Like, how do you grow brands? Like you told me the other day, man, you were talking. It's like, hey, this. You may look at this as an entertainment or an event instead of a business. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
In entertainment, because if you come from the promoter world, you may be used to just focusing on the event side of it, right? And you may know your numbers. Hey, tickets this and sponsorships this, and you net this, cool. But how do you make it a business? And even 8 years in, I'm still just now getting to the point where I'm realizing, no, you have a great brand, you have a great amount of supporters, but now you're navigating into a business, right? Actually promoting, letting people know what we do. How do we save lives, right? We save lives in entertainment. Entertainment is needed. A part of being social is needed and healthy, right? So, I mean, that's the gist of it, That's the gist of it. And that's just my experience within the last 8 years. Fail hard. I mean, you fail fast. Figure out who's on your team. Figure out who's not on your team. Ask the right questions. What questions? Google. Chat GTP. You got all these things now. Ask the questions. If I'm trying to create an entertainment brand, what should I do? What's step by step? The core of me, though, and my essence is feeling. I want people to leave with a feeling that, wow, I met Shelly, I met Jonathan, I met my next business partner. I listened to an amazing band. I got some inspiration. Like I left inspired. I felt good. And that's my angle of how I do events, is based off of a feeling and making sure people are leaving with an experience. The second question. The second question. I don't want to. I don't want to piggyback. I know.
The second question was, how do you know when it's not? So, because I think that people build things and they build either their one location,
Yep.
or they got a lot of customers in one place, or and then they're like, "Ooh, maybe I want to go to another city." But they're because what I love about what you said about bringing people together across different cities is essentially Black looks different across every different city. Every city has its own culture.
Exactly.
And so folding in, this layer of the DC Black folks into the Houston Black folks, into the Chicago Black folks, into the Atlanta Black folks. All these are different Black folks.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
it brings something different. So when you come to Atlanta, people sometimes don't want to party with all Atlanta people because they do it all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you bring this culture and this culture together, what does that feel like? It may be refreshing. It may be different. When we went to Charlotte loves the Black alumni. Like, I mean, they swear by the Black Alumni Ball in Charlotte, and I love that, right? Because they see the value that we bring. And I'm not saying DC isn't. DC is our largest city, but Charlotte loves it. And I realize like different cities take on the persona of what this is differently, and they're like, "Oh, we need this. I don't come out that much. I get to dress up." And it's a southern. It's more southern than northern.
Yeah.
And that's the difference too, right?
Do you find, speaking of that being a difference, do you find that the reason why it works has to do with some of that? Meaning, like, along that most southern states are where the HBCUs are.
For sure.
Even if you're not focused on just HBCUs, but do you find that it's a little bit of an easier sell?
Definitely easy to sell being on the East Coast where we have, the Southern, even, from DC down, we have a lot of HBCUs that are housed there. So it makes it easier because they can easily get to the locations, but it's also a easy sell, right? Because, hey, we're alumni, right? And majority of the HBCUs are aligned there, and you have a lot of PWI alumni that lives in those areas as well. So I think the locale definitely makes it worth our while for sure. Being on the East Coast, definitely. But you said something. I want to piggyback. You said why or when did I realize it was time to move? We did Black Alumni Ball in DC 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. 4 years. 3 years, 2015, 2016, 2017. 2018, we did Charlotte and DC. So we did 3 years in our home base before we moved. At that point in 2017, we had Angela Yee was the host, and we was featured on the Breakfast Club that Monday after the ball because she had a great time. She had a fantastic time, and she talked about the experience. I think at that moment, once we got that national recognition, then I was like, if Angela Yee likes this, I think this can kind of travel to a couple different cities. Let's try a city that is close in range, but also has a lot of schools. And that was like the Carolinas. Carolinas have a dozen of schools. So we picked that as one, a safety route because we had so many schools that was already bringing people together, right? So we have Charlotte, you have schools in Charlotte, you have the Raleigh-Durham area. So we had a bigger pool, if that makes sense, in that Carolina area. So it was more of like a safety. It was like, okay, even if we don't come out with a bang, or even if we don't have boots on the ground in that city, we have a lot of schools that have a lot of alumni in that market. So that was the idea of going into that market second, and it worked. It worked. First year we went there, 800 people. The last year we went there, I believe we had 1,100 people. So we did Charlotte in 2 years in that market, and now we have an average of maybe 1,000 people to come out to that event.
Wow. So,
when did I know though? When did I know? What stood out to me?
Well, wait, hold that thought.
Okay, good.
That's a quick break. So when we come back, we're gonna keep talking about this. What I'm hearing you say though, is sort of product market fit and traction, and whether that's media traction, breeding other engagement. So I love that. Keep it locked right here, y'all. We're talking to Jonathan King from the Black Alumni Ball. We're going to be right back after this. We got to take a quick break. You listen to the Omi Show. I'm Omi Bell. Keep it locked right here. Welcome back to the Omi Show. It's Sunday. It is new. Y'all know what time it is. I'm here with Jonathan King, and we are talking about the Black Alumni Ball. But he's the creator of the Black Alumni Ball, but we're talking about what it means to grow and scale a company, essentially. Yep. So the Black Alumni Ball is an entertainment brand that brings together a bunch of Black alumni from all types of walks of life. It's not just about HBCUs. It's not even just about colleges specific, but from programs. You could have been anywhere you have graduated from. We want to celebrate that. Anywhere you have achieved, right?
And I love that. Anywhere you have achieved.
I got them all day, Jonathan. I got them all day. Yes. So we're gonna, that's what it's about: Black excellence and Black achievement. So I love that. I mean, someday we're gonna have like a Black Alumni Kids, but let me not start to, you know what I mean? So
Black Alumni Jack and Jill. I love that.
Oh my God.
I love that.
For real. Like, actually, you got a bunch of Jack and Jill Black alumni that are adults.
That is correct.
Yo, listen. Jonathan, what we doing?
All right, we got to talk about.
Okay. Talk online. I'm gonna let it go. So I love to create some ideas. You know what? It's so funny. I was talking to somebody earlier, and I was saying, we were talking about like the work that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I was saying, I love like problem solving, ideating, helping somebody with that. But I actually don't. The reason why I have not put out any coaching packages. So people always ask me that, like, oh, why don't you be a coach? Why don't you coach people? And I'm like, because I was a teacher for 7 years, and I do not want to keep up with your progress.
I got you.
But if you want to brainstorm, if you want to solve a problem, if you want to scale what you got, hit me up. I love that.
You do that, and I want to make sure you get your flowers too, because you do that and you show up for a lot of people. And I hope people know that not only you show up in the business sense of it, but you show up on the friendship side of it too, right? As a friend of mine, you just show up in a different way than a lot of people that in your who you are, I don't have the time, or I don't have this and I don't have that. And I applaud you for showing up like that in your profession, but as a person, as a human. How you talk. You know how we talk.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Talk about life. Let's talk about getting through things, but also making these businesses work for us and making these business work for our community and knowing how important the things that we're doing. If it comes to our mind, then it needs to be out there. It needs to be put out there. And I can't stress enough, how you do that for me. So I want everybody to know, like, you show up, like, just how you show up for people in business.
That made me cry.
You show up for people like that in your personal life. So thank you. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think one thing is what I learned in building Black Girl Ventures is like, just not even just Black Girl Ventures, just business in general. One, showing up is half the battle. If you can show up, you are 10 times more likely to get whatever you're asking for. So that's number one. Yep. I think when it comes to people, that's how my family is. And, like we like showing up for each other in that way, where my grandma was that person that, like you could be somebody's ex, partner from 5 years ago. But if you come to the cookout, you going to hey, come on. Okay.
All love.
So you had to be careful about who you bring home. But, and it was one of, she was that kind of person.
I don't like him no more. I don't think you should
be like around. But we talking about ex-wives, baby daddies, all kinds of stuff. But baby mamas. But, she was that kind of person. So when people ask me about like building BGV, I'm really just recreating that kind of family experience. Well, like, it's not perfect, but it's ours. And I think like that's important, right? Like, it's not perfect, but it's ours, right? And it's ours to like or not like or love or not.
Grandmothers, though, I was raised by my great grandmother in Brooklyn, New York, and my first sense of community was around people that were 80 plus, and they nourished they poured into me, right? But they were hard. They were like, "Yo, you're bad as hell," right? But I remember them also saying, "Oh, I love your haircut," or always asking about me or what I'm doing. And as I get older, I realize that a lot of my identity is was built off of being around people that were 80 plus years old as a kid. And I'm realizing that. So how I communicate, how I talk, how I care about a lot of people, it's an older mentality.
Mm.
So when people say, "Well, why do you want to do this?" or "Why do you," it's really a part of me to give back, because when I was young, these people were pouring into me, giving back to me, and this is my opportunity to highlight people, to showcase people, and help them feel that experience that they may not receive in their day to day. They may not get that type of love. They may not know that what you're building is important. But who's going to give it to them? So I just wanted to piggyback off that because I grew up with my great grandmother. My great grandmother,
Wow.
and she poured a lot into me, and who I am, not the business side, but just who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting to think, thinking ancestrally about the work that we do, like
Mhm.
in the focus on our community and the importance of it. And I think like just the importance of, like I'm trying to say this all without getting emotional, but Monday, I was talking to my team and I was talking to the social media folks and they were like, what do you want people to feel? And I'm like, I just want people to feel good.
Yeah.
I just want people to, like, I want my existence
Hmm.
to mean that something is possible for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that is literally,
That's so good. That's so good, Shelly.
that's literally it. I don't have no whole lot, in terms of like have a whole lot of other words for it, other than the fact that like in this world, we need so much hope. Because sometimes, and I was talking about this on another episode. Sometimes I know like this sounds crazy because this is counterproductive to what I would tell anybody else. But I'm not always like super hot on promotion. Like I'm not always like, oh yeah, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. Or I'm not even like I have like, I have like text list of people, but I'm not always like texting them all the time. And it's because like I don't want to be annoying to someone. But my new saying is, if they unsubscribe, that's not your tribe. If they unsubscribe, that's not your tribe.
That's your tribe. I love that.
Let them go.
Yeah.
Because there are people who want their days to be interrupted with as much positivity and love as we can bring.
Right. Right.
There are people who need their days
I need that. Right.
to be interrupted with as much positivity and love that we can bring.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that
focus on the people that love you. Focus on the community that needs you versus focusing on people that don't. Right. And in business, like to piggyback off what you're saying, in business, it's very hard to get caught up with the haters or this person didn't like me because I had on this and I had on that. And one thing that you show up as, and you challenge me to show up as, and you probably challenge every community that you're a part of show up as, is today my hair's like this, tomorrow my hair's like this, today I'm wearing this, and be honest with you, I'm not 100% there, but I love that. That got to be a freeing feeling to say, not only am I building something, but I'm showing up how I want to show up every single day, every single day. So yeah, I mean, I would challenge people from what my experience is I come from Brooklyn. I come from my dad is dropped out of college. Dropped out of school, 5th grade. My mom was a single parent. She had 2 kids by the age of 20. She had 4 kids by the age of 24 in Brooklyn, New York. Right. At 32, 2 years ago, my father just told me that he didn't think he was my father. So I'm saying all this to say I was able to build these things with these issues, right? And we can all still feel like we're important, even despite the things that we are battling and going through. We are important, and the work that the ideas that you create is important. Don't matter what your hair look like. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what you got on that day. So, focus on for me, I'm in the space I'm in right now. I want to focus on the people that love me, that love what I create, that just love me who I am, not even the business side of it, and the communities that I build, and they see value in that, and nothing else.
It's funny. So I got two things that came to mind while you were saying that. One, and I hope I don't forget the second one. But the first one was when he talks about like, change your hair, but changing this thing and that kind of thing. And I think it took me a while to accept like some body image pieces. But what I realized as you were talking is it's because my true belief is that all of this is an accessory to my spirit. Right? Like that's what I truly believe. So it's like
keep going.
So, I can change my earrings a bunch of times. Who cares? As long as my spirit is intact, my spirit is well, my spirit is at peace, my spirit is evolving, developing, getting stronger. My, my contact connection with my ancestors, what my beliefs are, like as long as those things are healthy, who cares what my hair looks like? And that doesn't mean that I'm about to be out with my hair looking raggedy, but I'm just saying like, these things are accessories to my spirit, right? So I think like we think of our bodies and we think of these things as accessories to our bodies. For me, my body, my hair, my lipstick, all of this is an accessory to my spirit. You know what I mean? So it's important for me to dress how I feel.
Church today, my bad.
I mean, listen, we're here on Sundays, okay? So you never know. You just got to be ready. But so I think that it's important for me to be in good character. It's important for me to treat people well. It's important for me to, and not important for me to treat people well so they can treat me well, but just literally because that's important to me in general. And have empathy and to figure out how to hold space and sometimes just like not responding. I didn't get here overnight, okay, and I ain't no saint, but I evolved into this space because it was who I was always going to be. Right. Like I said, my core was always there, but life things happen and they take who you feel like you can be and who you are. And that's where you have to wipe away all those thoughts. Like you said, I had to do real work though to get there. Like, and that's the thing, like, are you willing to do the work?
Yeah.
That's the key.
You better be willing to do the work because it's going to be days that you like, I don't know. What am I going to do?
That was yesterday for me. I'm like, shut it down.
You may have those days often, right? So, I think the core of it is like you have to feel good. You have to find who you are in all of this. Yeah. And you have who I am and what I do. Right? And at the end of the day, who I am is not going to budge or change. And what I do may bend and fold every other day, depending on how the business is going. Is it successful? Am I getting the marketing done? And all of those things. And I love the core of this is my soul, who I am is the most important thing, and what I'm hearing from you, everything else is just accessories. Everything else is just, it puts it together. It makes it look pretty. I love that. I'm taking that.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. It took me a lot. It's taken me years. I'm 42. It's taken me at least 40 years to get to this point of saying it's the vibe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the vibe. It's like if my spirit ain't cute, I'm not cute.
I'm not cute. No matter how I look. No matter how I look.
Yeah, and it's funny because even in dating, like I have to constantly remind myself that the person that is going to see me, they're going to see my spirit first.
Right.
Period.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, and that doesn't mean that men are not attracted to aesthetics.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm just saying that, like,
about your person.
They're gonna see your spirit first, and like knowing that, I'll wait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm cool because if the stopping point,
the dating pool ain't all that right now either. We gotta. Yeah, that's the whole other reason that Black Alumni Ball is important too. Is we need to get all of the wrong people out the room and get all the right people in the room, so we can make a better decision. Because
while we ideating, then are we having like on the night before the ball? We having like What is a speed dating situation? What we doing?
Speed dating hosted by the Omi Show. I think so.
Okay. We
I
could
think
fold in
so.
Carpe Diem again because I think y'all. Did you work with him before?
Who?
Carpe Diem.
No, I never did.
Oh man, come on! I got to get y'all together. So Carpe Diem is a dating service started by Nasa Shelley. She's in our portfolio of Black Girl Ventures. Super dope founder. Used to be a lawyer. Launched a dating app. Went into this whole space of get people together, get people, and they host. They do speed dating as well, and they do a couple other things. I gotta connect y'all. That's hands down.
Please.
Like, yeah, no, I got to get y'all connected
I would love
because
to infuse that within what we're doing also because again, we're bringing people to a town or a city, we're doing a weekend, and a lot of people are looking for relationships. A lot of people are looking for their partner. And when you bring all these people together like this, you have a higher pool, versus looking on Tinder or looking on whatever. Like you just got a higher pool of quality. I would say that, and that's one of the big things about the ball. I would kudos to me and my team
yeah,
is we bring out quality people. We bring out people that uphold the dress code, right? All of those things are it's important. People laugh, but it's very important. You'd be surprised how many people have these upscale events and people in there with jeans, and it's like,
I know. Thank y'all for that because you'd be like, is it really gonna be formal?
right.
No, because like they'd be like, oh, it's formal. And then you get there and you'd be like,
Or the women dressed up and then the men are a little lax, and it's like, nah. The
yes.
men needs to come part. You need, and that's why we plan it 3 months. We give it 90 days because we want people to go get that tux, go save up a little bit of coins, right? You know what I mean? Go get that gown that you wanted. Go get that cocktail dress that you want, right? And it's not something fast. It's not like, oh yeah, we can just put something together that's in our closet. Take time to get yourself together. I remember one time the DC one, somebody was telling me they sent me a video and they was like, "Oh, I'm getting my hair done. I'm getting my neck." I mean, and they were so excited, Chef. They were so excited. You can tell that it was not just the ball that they were excited about, but just the whole experience of pampering themselves and getting their hair done and getting the makeup done, right? Or the men like getting your nails and your fingernails, making sure you look clean and getting that nice tie. And I think that's a part of it too that we're missing out on and we don't engage enough about is we need self care. And a part of
Yeah.
the event space is the self care. It's like not only the ball we're gonna have fun, but we're gonna invite some friends over. We're gonna take a couple shots. We're gonna we're gonna go get our feet done. We're gonna maybe get a dinner. Um, that whole well rounded experience is why I'm so passionate about what I do. So
Yeah.
passionate about what I do.
I love that. If you missed most of this conversation or you're just tuning in, I'm talking to Jonathan King, CEO of Black Alumni Ball. We're talking about bringing people together, the origins of all of that. Um, yeah, tell us a little bit about. We're almost out of time, so I want to make sure you can give us a rundown of like what's happening next with
Yeah,
Black Alumni Ball. Where should everybody be? Where should they be looking? Where should they be following?
yeah,
Where should
yeah.
they
So Black Alumni Ball is coming back. Excited to be back. It's been a couple years since COVID started that we weren't able to do this event. But we will be coming back Juneteenth, June 17th. We will be Saturday, June 17th. We will be in Houston, Texas. So we are shutting down the Modern Art Gallery. So for the first
be?
time, this event is going to be at an actual art gallery
Mm,
that is curated by Black curators. So a lot of the art that you're going to be dancing around, or a lot of the activations and pieces that you're going to be within the experience is actually Black curated. So that's the Modern Art Gallery, downtown Houston, Texas. Tickets are on sale right now. www.blackalumniball.com. And yeah, I mean, really excited. Obviously, I'm a fan of art. I don't know if you can see, but I got art everywhere in my house.
what's the date?
Saturday, June 17th.
Okay, Saturday, June 17th. Make sure you check that out in
Yeah.
Houston, Black Alumni Ball,
Juneteenth weekend.
blackalumniball.com.
Blackalumniball.com. Yes.
Okay, and on Instagram
At the Black Alumni Ball.
at the Black Alumni Ball. Well, Jonathan, it's been so dope talking to you, kicking it with you, friend.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you for joining the show.
Awesome.
This has been the Omi Show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We'll be right back here every Sunday. Make sure you're here. We are on Sirius XM, channel 126, Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. We'll see you next week.